Hello and welcome back to the Survivor League breakdown at fantasyfootballcafe.com. I'm your host, Josh Shepardson, and you can follow me on Twitter where I post this at BChat50. And the top picks this week feature a few big favorites, but also feature some smaller favorites that I'm really digging this week. And handful in that second tier, and then there's just a handful of games that really are toss-ups. So let's kick this off with the top pick, starting at the top with the Seattle Seahawks minus 13.5 points at home against the St. Louis Rams. They lost to the Rams in the opener, but the Seahawks look like a vastly different team now. The offense is clicking on all cylinders, starting at the top with Russell Wilson going nuts lately. He and Doug Baldwin have been clicking on all cylinders. The defense has picked it up as well. They should win easily, as the spread indicates. Chiefs are also big favorites at home, 11.5-point favorites against the visiting Browns. And the Browns are giving up the second most rushing yards per game. And that's bad news for them because the Chiefs have two talented backs that have filled in for Jamal Charles very nicely in Chuck Kendrick West and Spencer Ware. I expect them to lean on their running game and just squeeze the life out of the Cleveland Browns this week. Alex Smith can do enough through the air using Jeremy Maclin to keep that defense honest, but that defense hasn't been able to stop anybody all year. So Chiefs roll. Moving on to another big favorite, this one on the road. The Pittsburgh Steelers are laying 10 points to the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens quarterback situation is in flux. Not sure who's going to start this week. Could be Ryan Mallett, who was recently added. Could be Matt Schaub. Could be Jimmy Clausen. The correct answer for who is starting is a bad quarterback. That much we do know. The Steelers, on the other hand, have an elite quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger under center. He's been playing at a very high level. He's got a ton of weapons in the passing game that are carving up secondaries much better than the Ravens. And they're going to have no answer for Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, Marcus Wheaton, and company. Steelers roll. Cardinals are 4-point favorites at home against the Packers. This is the smallest line amongst my top picks this week. I think the line feels a little bit off. Even with Honey Badger out, the Packers are basically a pass-first offense at this point. Eddie Lacy continues to disappear at times after good games. James Starks has had some issues putting the ball on the ground, and they just don't have the receivers to beat the secondary, even without Tyrann Mathieu. Patrick Peterson's going to shut someone down, whether he shadows Randall Cobb or he just takes away whichever outside receiver they happen to put him on. You can go ahead and just take one weapon away from Aaron Rodgers. And considering he doesn't have many weapons, that's bad news for the Pack. I think the Cardinals roll this week. The offense looks great with Carson Palmer playing at a high level and David Johnson looking just like an unbelievable back right now. Chris Johnson did admirably earlier in the year, but David Johnson looks like a burgeoning star, and it just gives that team another weapon that, I mean, to be quite frank, they really didn't need. This offense has been one of the highest scoring, ranking in the top two basically all season, jostling spots with Carolina and New England throughout the year at the top. And David Johnson just gives them another weapon. So I think they roll. I think they easily cover that 4-point spread. And I think this is one of my favorite picks of the week. Another easy pick is the Vikings laying 5.5 versus the Giants. Vikings are going to be facing an OBJ-less Giants squad, and to put things quite bluntly, the Giants' offense lacks playmakers outside of OBJ. They're going to struggle to move the football against the Vikings. On the other side of the ball, Vikings' offense has been very vanilla this year, but Adrian Peterson's healthy, and that's really all that matters. Stephon Diggs woke from a few weeks slumber last week, scoring 2 touchdowns, gives them a weapon in the passing attack for Teddy Bridgewater, who looked good as well. So Vikings roll there. Lions are laying 9 points at home against the 49ers. Spread feels a little bit large, but I do think that they win handily. Matthew Stafford's playing at a very high level. 49ers don't play well on the road. I mean, they really haven't played well at all this year, but they play especially bad on the road. I don't think they have enough offensive weapons to keep up with the Matthew Stafford-led offense. It's actually playing pretty good football. Carolina will remain undefeated going to Atlanta this week, or so I believe, amongst my top picks. Panthers are laying 7 points. They just spanked the Falcons a couple weeks ago in Carolina, shutting them out 38-0. Not expecting necessarily that type of repeat performance, but Matt Ryan's looked like junk this year. Josh Norman should take Julio Jones out of this game by and large, and Devontae Freeman, while he's playing well, isn't playing at the exceptional level that we saw earlier in the year. They lack weapons behind him. Jacob Tamme, Roddy White. I mean, these guys aren't the type of of guys that are going to make this Panthers defense look bad like the Giants and Saints did. They just don't have the weapons to get to them. I think the Panthers roll. Moving on to the second-tier games that I like, Broncos are hosting the Bengals. They're 3.5-point favorites. This should be a low-scoring game, but ultimately, I think the Broncos' defense is better than the Bengals. They are at home, and A.J. McCarron is making just his second start, so I'll take the Broncos in this one. Patriots traveling to New Jersey to face the Jets. They are laying 3 points. They beat the Jets earlier in the season in a very exciting contest. I think the Patriots win once again, even on the road. The Jets' run defense is great. The pass defense is great at times and has been most of the season. Really, their hiccups have come when Darrelle Revis was dealing with the concussion. But ultimately, I think the Tom Brady-led Patriots offense, even dinged up, is going to be able to score enough to hold off the Jets. The Jets struggled last week at Dallas, and I mean that was a Kellen Moore / Matt Castle-led offense, and the Jets facing a defense that the Cowboys defense has been good, but I would say the Patriots rank better. So ultimately, Patriots win there. Raiders are hosting the Chargers, 5-point favorites. I'll take the Raiders here. Derek Carr is playing at a very high level in year 2, has a lot of weapons. Ultimately, I think there's more talent on the Raiders than the Chargers right now, and that's partly a byproduct of the Chargers not being able to stay healthy. They got a number of key injured players, so Raiders win there. Texans are at the Titans. There's not a posted line because we're not really sure who's starting a quarterback for the Houston Texans yet. Looks like Brandon Weeden could be the guy, but Brian Hoyer still dealing with a concussion. If he manages to get through the NFL's concussion protocol, they're an even easier pick. But even with Weeden under center, Titans will be trotting out a backup quarterback of their own, Zach Mettenberger. And ultimately, the Texans defense is the best unit in this game. They should win this game basically for the Texans in Tennessee. Moving on to the rest of the games, these are all pretty much toss-ups where I don't have a strong opinion, but the Redskins are 3-point dogs on the road at Philadelphia. Philadelphia has been a Jekyll and Hyde team this year. They had a big win at New England, followed that up with a win against the Bills at home, and then they got routed by the Arizona Cardinals. What team is this? Not really sure. Redskins are playing good football right now, though, and I think they smell blood in the water. They're going to wrap up the division this week with the win. The Buccaneers are hosting the Bears. They are no longer in playoff contention, but I do still think they get a nice W for Jameis Winston, laying 3 points to the Bears. Ultimately, I think the Bucs have more talent than the Bears, and I think the talent rises to the top in this one. Bills are 6-point favorites at home against the Cowboys. Line feels a little bit heavy since the Bills are without LaShawn McCoy in all likelihood, and but Tyrod Taylor, clearly the best quarterback in this contest. Sammy Watkins has been playing at a very high level with Tyrod Taylor of late, and the Bills' backup running backs Carlos Williams and Mike Gillislee have been playing pretty well as relievers for Shady McCoy anyway. I think the Bills win this one. Saints host the Jaguars. Pinnacle doesn't have a lineup yet, but there are some sports books with 3-point and 3.5-point spreads. Regardless of what that spread ends up at Pinnacle, I'll take the Saints as long as Drew Brees is playing. He does have torn plantar fascia in his foot. If he is ruled out by chance, easy pick to move over to the Jaguars, and they actually move into that the second tier of picks, the top end of it. But if Brees is playing, Brees has played much better at home this year, and I think he picks that soft Jaguars defense apart. Finally, the game that I care the least about this week, the Miami Dolphins and the Indianapolis Colts. Dolphins are 1-point underdogs. Matt Hasselbeck likely starting, but he's been dinged up over the last few weeks. They could conceivably go to clipboard Jesus, Charlie Whitehurst. Either way, the Colts offense is sputtering lately. The Dolphins, they're a mess as well, but I think ultimately that the talent at receiver for the Dolphins and Tannehill being a little bit better than whatever the Colts are going to trot out there ends up being enough for them to win this game. But I have almost no convictions in that game. Neither team really is going to be playing for much, with the Colts losing to the Texans, basically most likely losing out on that AFC South division title and playoff berth, and the Dolphins just kind of waiting to get to the finish line here. But ultimately, Miami has a little bit more talent than Indianapolis by my estimation, and I think that ends up being the difference. That's going to wrap things up for this week's podcast. Check out all of our content at fantasyfootballcafe.com, where we've got some articles, video podcasts like this one, and an active fantasy football forum to help you win your fantasy football contest. And hopefully that means your championship game this week. Till next week, good luck.